Ripaverse,
Yep, the Ripaverse.
like,
That is and that's how we start the stream. Mentioning the
okay,
Ripaverse.
yeah, great.
So go on.
But he's made what, $3 million or something like that with his comic book right now.
Yeah, it's like the market for non-woke is pretty viable. The trouble is, I'm trying to convince an entire fan base of people who want to play card games, and I'm trying to drag them back into like the tabletop, the role play. I want them rolling dice again. I want them making their own characters, and that has been difficult. And and the reason we're doing this, the reason we're here with the Ghost of Garduna, is because he helped make it. Like this is someone who helped inspire the Shades of Dominion into what it is. And you said you remember that night, so let's hear your version, your version of the account.
Well, it was a late night. I think it was really late. Actually,
it was really late.
And we, you were telling me, different ideas and stuff, and I love how conversations, especially when we're talking about creative work and our process and what we're doing, you'll say something and that will inspire me to have this, quick thought that springs up, and then I give that to you, and then it kind of builds upon itself in a domino effect. And I think that's what was happening that night, is we were just bouncing ideas off of each other and coming up with better and better stuff.
Okay. Well, the way I remember it, to be perfectly blunt, is I was having a problem solving the land issue. Yeah, Arden says that it sounds like we have a bad connection. That's because I'm streaming from my work and I'm down a bar. I can't help that, I think. You are a fuzzy shade. Hey, give me one. Yeah, give me 1 second. This might. I don't want to do that, but okay. Let's try this. No, I'm not doing that. I'm not gonna reload. That would be very, very bad. Bad cam fuzzy. Interesting. You know what? Let's. I think we can fix that. Is that better?
That is a bit. Well, I don't know. Maybe a little.
Is it better? If not, that's fine, because I have it. Yeah. Oh, cam settings definitely. But anyways, we were bouncing ideas off one another, as you say, and I was trying to solve the LAN problem. I was. Oh, that would be why. Connection is unstable. If you're on Wi-Fi, try plugging in. Yeah, there's no place for me to plug in at this particular location, so that's why we're fuzzy. It's not. It has nothing to do with either of our connections. It's the internet. Yeah, we're going to have those issues. But continuing on, I was trying to solve the land problem, and I was trying to figure out how to take Magic the Gathering lands, playing lands, getting mana, playing your spells was going to work.
Mm-hmm.
And I just couldn't figure it out. And as soon as I said, mana, you instantly jumped on me and said, mana, no good. Call it something else.
Mm-hmm.
And anyway, and as soon, and I took the suggestion, I'm going to admit, I was annoyed. Like, that was the last thing I wanted to do. That was the last, to go back and just reassess everything on a language basis was not something I was in any way interested in doing. But I did it. I took your advice, and I came up with the Shade, and from that, Shade Vessels, and from Shade Vessels, the entire lore of the Shades of Dominion, which was it's a dystopian universe now, where
Mhm.
the shade controls you, where you are now bound to this malicious entity who's going to actively control you, who's going to be a destroyer of worlds as well as the giver of life, and that entire dynamic that created the shades of dominion. That is what made it what it is, and the rest is history, as we hope. And thank you.
Well, I mean, you're welcome.
Now,
I could help. And
because that was go on.
um uh just to give a little bit about me to the audience, like one thing that I do as an artistic practice that I've been doing, oh goodness, for about maybe 25 years, something like that, is I've been constructing languages. And so, and I'm not a linguist myself. I guess I'm like an amateur linguist now because I've had to do a lot of study and reading about languages to construct languages myself and also writing systems. So I think that's one reason that I came up with, when you said mana and I proposed that you change the word to something else. I think that's one of the reasons why, because I've become so linguistically sensitive, um, and I think that yeah, I guess that's it. Yeah,
So, from your professional point of view, what was it about mana that just sucks?
just the overuse of it. I mean, the overuse of it.
Okay.
And, and I think you really want when you're coming out with something new. I think especially with fantasy, there is a inclination to go with all of the Tolkien-esque tropes that have been kind of established and the video game stuff that has been established for so long, using mana, using health, using, all these kind of things. But I think when you're bringing something new to the market, you really want originality, and that will help you and help your fan base will appreciate that. So, yeah.
And again, you were correct. It has, and as I said, it's not just the use of the shade itself, but it's actually the way that the shade as a piece of the game that has been able to flush out the lore, create more continuity
Mhm.
within the realm, because within the system, because we're taking a card game and turning it into a tabletop. That's what Shades of Dominion is,
Mhm.
and so the it has to have its own flavor. It has to have its own thing. One of the examples I cite a lot is um, characters and uh, NPCs in the game have to have an aspect called trample, where they deal extra damage to the player after they destroy the creature or their opponent.
Mhm.
And the thing about that is, to translate that into a role play setting, you have to make it make sense.
Mhm.
So, what are you going to do to illustrate this dynamic from a card game to a tabletop?
Mhm.
We call it cleave. We call it when you deal damage to another creature and you get another attack because you're
Mhm.
not done yet, or you've already slain the creature in front of you and you have another action to take. It's cleave.
Mhm.
Roleplay already has this dynamic, and so I was just able to go, okay, trample equals cleave,
Mhm.
simple. But you have to, as I said, you got to make it make sense,
Mhm.
and turning it from mana to shade just helped it make sense
Right.
in ways I wasn't expecting, and in ways that I don't think anyone else would have expected either. And it's have you seen my recent videos about what my next project? Because the last playlist was going through all of the banned Magic the Gathering cards and turning them into
Mhm.
templates for the players.
Mhm. No,
Then
I haven't seen anything recently. I've been so busy with like family responsibilities. that I haven't had a lot of time to really do anything. Um, yeah, yeah.
All right. So two things come to my mind when you bring that up. One, we're going to right after work. I'm going home. We're going to Six Flags because my wife's cousin said, "Hey, I got tickets," and we said, "Awesome."
Great.
Secondly, also in line with family events, I was telling you before stream, we got chickens. My
Mm-hmm.
God, the chickens building the coup, tolerating their behavior, watching the pit bull turned into a rooster.
Mm-hmm.
I can relate to the whole family thing, just
Mm-hmm.
sucking up your time, and I'm doing this on the side as well because
Yeah.
it's oh, and school started up. I'm learning how to code at the same time as doing all this other wonderful drama.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so in any case, after going through all of the racist cards that were banned and turning them into spell templates for people to play within the game, we're now going into a Magic the Gathering set, one of the oldest sets called Legends,
Mm-hmm.
and this is a set where the cards, one, they suck. They're terrible because they have rare cards. Because Arden's talking about the clucking dog. They sucked because these were these were cards made by fans of the game when it was first released by Richard Garfield, and they started making cards. Oh, hello, Cass. Cass disappeared on me. Is You got to come back, buddy. You got to come back, my man. That this is not cool. There we go.
Sorry, man. I had a boomer moment and I touched a button I guess I shouldn't have.
I it, that is common with that is common with StreamYard. If you click the wrong thing, bad shit happens. So back to what I was saying. This set called Legends was a bunch of nerds making new Magic cards based on their D&D campaigns,
Hmm.
their NPCs, and their tabletop experience.
Mm-hmm.
And so they release the set, they get everything out, and the cards were they had flavor, and they introduced the notion of having a legendary creature that is one of a kind, that none other
Mm-hmm.
copy of it can be on the board, that whole notion. But the mana cost to what you were getting on the battlefield was just atrocious,
Mm-hmm.
even at the time it was made. And no one seems to understand why. And it's because they were basing these costs of these particular cards on the attributes and skills of a D&D character in the game,
Mm-hmm.
like on the tabletop, and it just didn't translate uh, to a card game.
Mm-hmm.
So what we're going to do through this series that I'm taking on is refitting the Legends cards
Mm-hmm.
and turning them back into role play templates and NPCs. And I've already done a few of them. My God, it's so much fun giving these old cards their dignity back because they're being reintroduced into a role play setting.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's kind of the next playlist that we'll be going over in terms of the game.
Mm-hmm.
So let's take a moment. I'm going to let you shill what you do.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I'm a visual artist. That's my primary profession. I and I have an Instagram. You know, you can find me just Cassander Garduna on Instagram, and you can see a lot of my artwork. And I'm really trying to sell stuff, and I also do commissions. I do book illustrations. I've done book covers. And then I'm a singer songwriter too. And I wrote and recorded 5 albums last year that you can find on Bandcamp under the name Ghost of Garduna. Um,
And also the YouTube channel Ghost of Garduna is in the description of this video. Go ahead
yeah,
and
yeah, and I'll say a little bit about that. I wanted to make some music videos, and I'm so like, okay, in my profession, I use a pencil and a piece of paper. That's how archaic my work is. And so to figure out how to like edit um, video and stuff was really a task for me. And I kept thinking to myself, like, fuck, you've got 8-year-olds making TikTok videos, and I can't make a music video, and I'm 39 years old, you know? And finally,
yeah.
I figured it out. I think the best video on there is Algernon. I think that was the most creative and the just the best visually. And I also think that's a really interesting song because I'm using baritone ukulele is the primary instrument, but it's distorted, and also the way that I'm playing it is this, I think, really interesting way that I've never heard baritone ukulele be played before.
All
So
right.
really great song. And I'd mentioned the constructing languages. Actually, the last verse in that song is in the language that I've constructed that I call Nishquilanta.
Okay.
So you get to hear a bit of the language, which I think is fun. And the song itself is about the book Flowers for Algernon. I think that's kind of obvious, but I'll just say it anyway. But and I'd read that as a kid, you know, I guess in elementary school. But I highly recommend rereading books that you've read in your past because when you get older, they will mean something different, and it's a really cool experience. But yeah, I reread that book and it just moved me in a way, and I knew I had to write a song about it. Um, Shilling. Let's think. Is there anything else that I can actually say? I do
Well,
portrait.
I'm
Yeah,
actually gonna give a small shout out to Ardent Party because I know he hosts some of your art.
yeah, he has. He's been a great friend of mine and great about trying to put my stuff out there for people, and I really appreciate that.
Yeah. Ardent is a good boy. That's
Yeah,
why
he's
he has the
uh,
wrench.
yeah.
That's why he has the wrench. Okay, so we're actually going to take a moment, and this is actually a world that we've had. Hello, Prime Night. Hello, hello. What's going on? It's a den of tomfoolery. Art. We're talking art at this time, and not only art, but art in the shades of Dominion in particular. We've shilled Cass's channel in the description, and right now you're going to see a bit of the Shades of Dominion core set where Cass here has created a world. Uh, would you go ahead and read the description? That
Uh,
this is all you.
yeah, sure. Norre is a realm dotted with islands and deep underwater caverns, a water world with dangerous leviathans and creatures of the deep teeming its vast stretches of ocean. Great golden serpents rise and submerge themselves across the great waters. Somewhere among the island is a highly fortified, huge castle. Its inhabitants, all warriors, never leave the castle, and no one outside is permitted within. Since no outsider has never been in the castle, no one can say what treasures it may hold. Giant golden sea snakes are that are loyal to the island king protect the island. This, among with many untold treasures hidden in the deep oceans of Norway, may attract many adventurers and pirate clans. But among the natives of Norway are the mysterious Kek, frog-like humanoids with toxic saliva entrance its victims with disturbing hallucinations and nightmares. They are armed with primitive weapons and use their saliva to tame the great snakes and use them to traverse the islands in the deep and the depths of Norway. Norway has no known protection against shade mages or penalties for spying or siphoning in the realm. Yeah, it's good to reread that. Um, and I have a lot to say about the island idea in general that I was thinking about this morning, when kind of meditating on what we will talk about. Um, so I'm an Indian. I'm Native American, and my tribe comes from North Carolina, which is called the Coharie. And the Coharie and the Lumbee are basically the same tribe. Probably more of you have heard of Lumbee than Coharie, if you've heard of Coharie at all. But they were islanders and lived on the Hatteras and Roanoke Island off the coast of North Carolina. And I always, even though I was raised in Kentucky, um, I
How
always knew
dare
this.
you? How
Yeah,
dare you?
I always knew this as a kid. And God, stop phone. Okay, here we go. I knew this as a kid, and I was told this as a kid, and it created this fascination with islands. That my
Ah,
people were islanders, and there was something really magical about the idea to me. I think because of the exoticness, one, because I lived out in the sticks, in the woods in Kentucky, so no islands, no ocean. So it was so kind of, yeah, magical to me. Um, so in my own work, I've done a lot with islands. I've been writing short stories, kind of high fantasy stuff, but without any of the tropes. So no wizards, no elves. About uh, some islanders that live on a very remote, isolated island called Othlandrun. And
nice,
there's
nice.
there's magic there, but the magic is kind of different than a lot of high fantasy that's been done before. And I really wanted to stay away from the kind of typical tropes, but still write something, really magical and stuff like that. And I'm really proud of those. I really want to get them out there. Um, and the book will be uh, an interconnected series of folk tales about certain characters on the island. Um, and a lot of kind of surreal magic happens. There's a lot of dark aspects too with some of the villains. Um, and I hope some
Well, if
originality.
if I recall correctly, you have a strong fascination with the Fae.
Yes.
And when it comes to the Fae, if your villains are anywhere of that orientation, it's gonna be dark.
Yeah.
It's gonna be very dark
Yeah.
because the Fae don't play. But
No, don't. No.
back to Norway, and I guess I think this was something that I added in is the frog like humanoids, the Kek,
Uh huh.
because it's 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 just fun because this is something you can do in shades,
Mm
is giving your opponents hallucination and damage and stress at the same time, while being poisonous, is
hmm.
not something you can generally do in Magic. Like
Right.
in Magic, there's very little opportunity to be both damaging, poisonous, and hallucinogenic, and making your opponent discard. But we get to make that now. We get
Mm
to combine these different attributes of now it's the shade. We get to combine these different attributes and make it more available for the player to for the player to create something unique and something that is them, because
hmm.
that's what Magic used to be.
Mm
Like
hmm.
you got to make a deck that was you. That
Yeah.
was your creatures. That was your style. That was your tactic, as it was. And I have a guilty confession. I just made a short today called "No Hate Playing,"
Hmm.
and I totally play Arena.
Yeah.
Like I play Magic Arena all the time, and what's bizarre is that there's no individuality anymore. Like you go on Arena and you pick one of the prefab decks, and they're better than anything you could ever make, and that's depressing because you're playing and you're trying and you're getting you're opening packs and you never touch the cards that you open. You never
Hmm.
touch them. You never use them. You never even give a damn about them because it is literally just either you pay an exorbitant amount of money for something you will never hold in your hand, or you play and play and play and you don't ever get anything that's even close for you to be able to create a new strategy, a new deck, a new anything. So so here I am with the Shades of Dominion turning the card game back into a role play game. Because if we don't do the Ripaverse thing, if we don't become the culture, if we're not taking the franchise back in our own way, it's just going to run away from us.
Yeah.
And I really think that we are at the point where Magic needs to go back to the tabletop. Because if you don't, it's and Prime Knight is crying in Commander Artifacts deck. You're gonna have to explain the reference to me because I am so out of the loop in terms of. Okay, I think I'm getting it now. I think I think I might understand it, but still, I've been so out of the loop because the new set that's coming out is Dominaria United, and I don't know if you know anything about Magic the Gathering lore.
No, I don't actually.
Okay, so in terms of Magic the Gathering lore, they're returning back to one of the old nostalgic storylines
Hmm.
of Magic the Gathering. Um, so we can actually close this now. All right. So they're going back to one of the old style, the old lore when it comes to Magic the Gathering decks or
Hmm.
Magic the Gathering story. Um, and it's pure nostalgia. And so they're they're promoting the story, but the cards are shit.
Hmm.
And not only are their cards shit in terms of the meta, the effects, the spells and whatnot. The card quality was shit. Like you had people pulling cards out of packs where the cards weren't even cut right. Like you would literally have a card where about maybe a tenth of the way up, it's another card. Like there's the top and a little more, and it's a completely different a part of a completely different card. The bottom's missing. Just just horrible quality,
Wow.
horrible. And it's like they literally hate you.
Yeah.
At this point, they literally fucking hate you. And so I am, and so we were also discussing about how hard it is to get your art out there, to get people
Mhm.
um, to give it a listen, to give it a look, to give it a play. Um, we have a role playing game where we had to cancel this week because one guy couldn't make it. This is a common role playing problem. But one guy was having a terrible week; he couldn't make it, and then our second out of the three players was 15 minutes late, and I decided to throw shade at him rather than do another whole gaming stream because he was a quarter of an hour late. We're not playing with that madness. So so we just did a half hour live stream shaming the person who was late because we throw shade at the Shades of Dominion,
Mhm.
and it was fun. But the game that we're going through is it's going far better than I expected. Like it is a cohesive system where you have the ability to take out your old school Magic cards, throw them on the table, and say, "Okay, I want this in my deck. I want this in the game," and it's easy. You
Mhm.
can just plug it in. and it's something I really want people to gravitate towards, because here's the end game. Whenever Magic the Gathering, whenever Wizards of the Coast comes out with a new product, it's mine now.
Mm-hmm.
That's the beauty of what I'm building. So, what in how do I ask this? How do you feel is the best way to get your stuff out to people?
Well, man, that's I've got like three things. I'll answer this question, but I want to jump back to and say two other things that I've been thinking about. But to answer the question, man, I am totally shit at the business part of this. Uh, and when I was in grad school, I studied how to make art, but I was never taught how to market it, how to get in the gallery. We never had a class that talked about promotion or selling or anything, and I'm still figuring that out. Um, One thing that I do, and it's been an experiment in two different ways. One thing that I do is I just friend a butt ton of people on Facebook, and then I will randomly message them and say, "Hey man, how's life treating you?" or whatever. And this has been for two reasons. One is because I might eventually have the opportunity to share work with them, but also because I think that it's a shame that we don't interact with a lot of our friends on Facebook, and I want to meet and befriend and whatever as many people as possible in my life, because I've really been thinking about how, and this isn't a revelation or something, but I've really been thinking about just how important our relationships with others are and how we treat them is. And I want to build these connections and relationships um, with others. So I guess that's the first thing. I think just putting it out, figuring out any way to put it out there and put it out there, and maybe people will listen to it or see it, maybe they won't, but you've got to keep trying.
Yeah, that's another thing that for me was incredibly uh, inconvenient. Is that this game used to be on Drive Through RPG. You used to be able to click a link, click buy, and the idea was I would get a cut of the proceeds. They took down the link, and they never paid me out. That I never got a cash out for my
Mm-hmm.
game.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so and all of this was conveniently right after I decided to stand with the Dungeon Hobby Lobby, um, the sons of Gary Gygax, the maker of Dungeons and Dragons, decided that we're going anti woke,
Mm-hmm.
and so that was that was my sin, and so for that the Shades of Dominion was completely nerfed. It was
Right.
completely taken down, and so I now have to do this through Cash App.
Mm-hmm.
I have to do a Cash App link so they can send me the link with their email so I can send them a PDF copy of the game. And it's a pain in the butt, and it's all
Right.
word of mouth, and it's not like it's not like the product isn't worthy. It's not like it doesn't serve its purpose.
Mm-hmm.
It's just getting it out there. I have recently bought a domain.
Mm-hmm.
I bought a website domain. I just have to buckle down again and pay some money for people to set up the website itself, and
Mm-hmm.
I will be able to have a online store where you can get all of the um, where you can get all of the things, where you can have a place where you can put down, buy it online, just through a traditional online store kind of format. And also, it would be nice to have a website where we're able to host all of the content that we're making, where we can show people, where we can have lists of cards, and then next to the card, the spell template that we've used in Shades of Dominion. And that would be really cool. Is to have a gallery, like the Gatherer for Magic the Gathering for their card catalog. Just have a gallery
Mm-hmm.
for the spell templates, and that's also in the works. But it's going to
Mm-hmm.
take time, it's going to take money, and I'm short on both.
Right. One thing that I wanted to jump back to that I just thought was, a side note that may be interesting, with the island and the Keck and their hallucinogenic properties. I have something kind of like that in on the island Othrondraun in my uh folk tales.
Oh, so I got
There's
that right.
yeah.
All
Um
right, bitchin'.
yeah, there's this character named Naku, and he constantly burns a big bonfire of this plant we call atsutsa, and the atsutsa smoke makes people hallucinate, makes them forget what they're doing. Atsutsa means the forgetting plant, and so people like in my last story, Tekla, who is actually trying to get to Naku to help him, while she's going through the forest, she starts breathing in this smoke and she actually forgets what she's doing. Um,
This sounds like the Native American version for the Lotus Eaters.
yeah, 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 I can
Oh,
see that.
oh, okay, cool.
But I just wanted to say that I thought that might be interesting, and uh, I've had a lot of fun writing these stories, and also your enthusiasm for your own work, that is a big part of getting people interested in it, and
Oh, dude,
I can see your enthusiasm and your love for it, and I think that if you show that to people, that they'll be enthusiastic as well.
dude, if I can get this off the ground, if I can get 100 people to buy this book,
Mm-hmm.
$15, 100 people, 1,500 in the bank, that might pay my mortgage for a month.
Mm-hmm.
They will allow me to justify to the missus that working on the next installment is worthwhile.
Mm-hmm.
And once we get there, this next installment is going to be so much fun
Yeah.
because the core set is the core set. It's target to target spell casting. We're going to do area of effect additions to add to your spell casting. We're
Mm-hmm.
going to go into all of the attributes and mix them
Mm-hmm.
and show you what the combinations look like. You're going to have you're going to be able to build and have explained time mages. Um, you're going to have bioterrorists. You're going to have um, just think of any okay. So have you ever played Magic the Gathering?
No. No.
You have not. Oh my gosh. Um, so there are 5 colors, and in the Shades of Dominion, those 5 colors are divided further by 3 each.
Mm-hmm.
So you have 15 attributes. In this upcoming book that I'll be making, I'm going to show you what happens when you mix and match those 15 attributes together. And some of it's insane. Some of it is shit you would never have ever supposed. And it is the funnest thing. Like there's the passion attribute, which in Magic the Gathering means that you can convert a minion or a NPC for a turn. That's an entire that ability, that kind of spell has its own group, and if you combine that with another attribute like ambition or instinct or order, you can have some interesting effects,
Yeah.
and that's true for all of them. And just being able to go in and break down how each of these things work together One, it's going to be a fantastic lore dump. It's going to be great for the players to see what their actual options are, and adding area of effects to your spell ability. I can't wait to get started, but I can't even start on it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's all there. The potential is all. I'm ready to take this to the next level. I'm. It's just not worthy yet. If you get my meaning.
Mm-hmm.
So
Well, I hate to do this, but I'm gonna have to take a little break, skip out, and I'll be right back. I am an
I
old
understand.
I'm an old man with a weak bladder, and
Oh,
you know, I just have to take care of that really quick. But I'll be right back.
all right. And on that idea, we're a short intermission. Gonna read some of the comments from the chat because that's what we do when we kill time. Sasquatch says, "I've never seen self-promoting as a skill because he does have the gift of Blarney." Ardent Party has commented that it's really unfortunate that art classes and programs don't teach you how to promote yourself anywhere near as well as job hunting classes do. Oh my goodness, it's all right. Where do I begin, ladies and gentlemen? The latest comment, you're freaking 39. What the hell have you done to yourself that you have a weak bladder? LOL. We'll let him answer that when he gets back. We will make that a question. Click thingy. All right, let me click the thingy again. All right. The the thingy is clicked. Caucasian. I did drugs. Love it. This is clearly a family channel, ladies and gentlemen. That'll do it. Okay, so I'm sorry. What are we saying base to here, Caucasian? I missed the memo. Caucasian, Earth to Caucasian Sasquatch. You've claimed base. I'm asking for justification. Oh, I think I see it now. You're congratulating Ardent for being a narcissist. Yeah, it's very highbrow. Yes, and chat's throwing shade, as they should. Yes, Native American podcast of the Lotus Eaters. No, that is not what we said. That is not what we said. What we did, in fact, say is that there's a certain Native American plant that is the American that is the Native American version of the Lotus Eater. We're just going to clarify that. Okay,
Okay.
so Cass, we have questions from the audience. What have you done to yourself that at the young age of 39 would cause you to have such a weak bladder? From Ardent Party.
Oh well, that's a easy question to answer. Um, I'm fat and I have high blood pressure and one kidney. And for years, I took medicine. We call them water pills. I don't know the technical term. Uh, but for blood pressure, and I think it had an effect on my bladder. Um,
Ah,
and they made me pee all the time. And then, even though I don't take them anymore, it never kind of reverted back to the state that it was previously.
so modern medication is what you're telling me.
Yeah, yeah. I think that I've had a lot of ill effects from modern medication, and I was actually at a birthday party yesterday and was talking to
Yeah, chat's telling us diuretic pills is what they're
yes,
called.
diarrhea pills. Yeah, that's what they're called. Yeah. But I
Basically,
was
salt.
yeah, yeah. I was talking to a friend of mine at this birthday party, and she was telling me how she was on one medication, and the medication caused a side effect that wasn't good for her. So she went to the doctor, and the doctor was like, "Well, I'll give you another medication for that side effect."
Oh,
Um, and I think there's just this like spiraling out of control until you have like a bag full of pills and you're taking a handful of pills every morning. And
it is a meme. It is a meme that you listen to the adverts for antidepressants may
oh god,
cause suicidal thoughts and depression.
yeah,
And you're saying to
yeah.
yourself, what the who takes
No,
this shit?
I love the anti-anxiety meds, the commercials for them
Oh
because
my
they'll
gosh.
say something like, you know, uh, are you anxious in social situations? Take this medication, and then it'll go to the side effects, and it's like may cause diarrhea, vomiting, profuse sweating, dizziness, fainting. And you're like, God, well, how am I going to be in a social situation where I'm shitting on myself and puking on the other people there?
This won't cause anxiety. Not at
No, that
all.
right. That won't cause me any more anxiety or social pain than I had to begin with. It's ridiculous. And this is actually a subject we could go on and on about because the pharmaceutical companies, oh my, are just so corrupt. And I mean, I could go on and on about this.
I I sincerely believe that doctors today, psychologists, psychiatrists, they are they're diagnosing puberty
Yeah.
in our kids, and it's
Hmm.
and even my own family is part of this. What we have a child who is on anxiety medication, very low dose. I don't approve. I,
Hmm.
I, I don't I don't condone it. But
Hmm.
there was a moment where we had in our household where she was upset because my dear wife was reminding her that she had not been on her medication diligently, and I'm and I had to sit my daughter down afterward and explain to her, look, sweetheart, um, that's something you're going to have to work with the rest of your life. Everyone is going to have that kind of reaction once they learn that you take anxiety medication. And I'll be perfectly honest, as your father, as someone who cares about your development as an individual, I would rather be, because her objection was, look, I'm upset because I'm upset, not because I'm not on my medication. I have genuine issues with this. And I had to I had to tell her, look, no one's going to know the difference between the two.
Yeah.
No one's going to be able to tell whether it's you or the medication or not.
Hmm.
And the people are going to establish a pattern where if you're unpleasant, it must be that your dosage is off.
Hmm.
And for a teenager, that is not the right approach.
Hmm.
It's not. And I told my daughter, look, give me the help, give me the emotional outburst, give me your anxiety, give me your angst. Shit, we all went through it.
Hmm.
We all did. Every single one of us went through that hell because that's what puberty is. It's a hell. And
Yeah.
so what I had to sit down and say, look, you have to make a decision where we decide what how you're going to develop, and are you going to develop with this this medical crutch, or are you going to go through life and experience it and let everyone else experience it with you? And she had to think about that. I just don't know. Like obviously I want the best for my kid, and I'm trying to give her the option to choose how that's going to play out in her life. And it, it's it's just one of those things where how do you tell between what is especially with puberty, how do you tell between what anxiety is normal and what anxiety is something you need medication for? I don't think you can. And that's the problem I have with it. I don't think you can tell at that age when it's appropriate to take those medications without without ruining the individual. And that's my problem with it is you don't know. You can't tell. And so we're putting kids on anxiety and antidepressants where maybe they shouldn't be.
Yeah.
Just
I think
maybe.
it's a really complex issue, and I'll preference this with saying that I absolutely don't have the answers. But I think absolutely medication should be the very last option.
Yeah.
And should be taken really seriously. We don't know what these pills really do. You know, uh, I've read I read an article. I don't know. I'm bad with time, but some months ago or whatever, where the psychological community or psychiatrist community came out and said, "Hey, the whole chemical imbalance thing is a myth. We found that out through new experimentation or study or whatever." I've been uh, to to say, I guess, to share a little bit about myself. I was put into a foster home at 16, and it was court ordered that I see a psychiatrist, and they immediately put me on antidepressants and stuff like that. And I honestly think it was probably a bad idea. And now, I mean, God, I've been on them so long. Every time that I've tried to get off them, uh, just absolute hell. Uh, Feeling like I'm gonna, really die, and the brain just like I'll have like a feeling of electric shock, like I'm being tased. Just all
But by
kinds of
the
stuff.
way, the chat wants more kitty. So show
Oh, okay.
them Mr. Moonboots.
There he is. He's such a good boy.
Yeah. There's Mr. Moonboots. He is I also had to say and greet the feline.
And I'll say something about him that's very special about him. And I'll show you. He loves full two-arm hugs. He loves it. He loves hugs. And I love giving him hugs. So, and also with my short stories, I have put all of my cats into these short stories as um, they have become the tribal members of this island. And the last one that I wrote, they all have names in. I've given them all names in the language I've constructed. Well, little Tagla, which is my little cat, little female cat, she's never got over about 6 pounds. She's kind of stayed like a perma kitten, but she is the bravest animal I've ever seen and has such a big personality that I knew that I needed to put her in the story. And she's actually the lead character in the third story that I wrote. Um, so yeah.
Yeah, I'm as I said, we got chickens and my pit bull decided to become a rooster.
Yeah.
I I can't explain it. Well, it was a relief, honestly, because we thought we had all hens, and if you let hens stay on their own, what they'll do is they'll make a rooster, and how that usually ends up is they will establish the pecking order to the point where one of them dies, and
Mm-hmm.
they and the hen gone rooster starts to eat the one that's dead, and it gets a taste for flesh. So
Mm-hmm.
you have to kill that hen and wait
Mm-hmm.
for the cycle to repeat itself. And so I was pleased as a peach to learn that the pit bull decided, no, I'm the rooster.
Mm-hmm.
And we've had those moments where we'll be gone from the house a couple of hens will leave the pen that they're supposed to be in, and they will be frozen on the ground with the pit bull sitting next to them going, Mom, I got one. I got them. They're not moving anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And when they start picking on each other, he will go up to the edge of the pen and like nose bump them, going, "No, you behave." So it's cute, it's weird, and it's just awesome.
Primed Knight says animals can be a great help with stress and anxiety. I couldn't
Truth,
agree more.
truth.
Uh, I have 3 dogs and 3 cats. Actually, I have more cats. I'm not going to actually say how many cats I have, just know that it's too many. But they are a joy in my life, have brought so much joy, and absolutely helped me with, stress, anxiety, depression, everything. And, as an artist, that what I do is gallery shows and commissions. I'm at home alone, 80% of the time, and I just don't know what I would do without the companionship and company of my animals. It's been such a blessing.
Now, Caucasian says he has a stress moose. I
Oh,
can relate because now when he says stress moose, he's talking about a dog, a
mm,
massive
mm,
sized dog. I think I've seen the moose, and another name like my father calls our pit bull Mr. Moose as well
mm,
because he is massive, and
mm-hmm.
he is the biggest cuddle pup. I come home, and this dog acts like no one has ever loved him all his life, and he
Right.
literally crawls up into my lap all over. Yes, and
Mm-hmm.
he wrecks he wrecks it. He like Mussolini wrecks. Yes, anything that's on top of me, he and then he starts sneezing, and then I have to shove him off because once
Right.
something that size is next to your face and sneezing, you're like, oh God, get off, get off.
I have this huge black and tan coonhound named Kylo,
Is
and
he
he
Irish?
yeah, yeah. And he is the derpiest, sweetest, most loving dog. And he doesn't understand. Yeah, so Prime Knight says some big dogs don't understand their size. He
Yeah.
doesn't understand it. And he
Oh,
loves,
they think they're lap dogs, and
yeah,
they're
they
not
do.
wrong. He will fit on my lap, and the couch and the cushion next to us,
Mm-hmm.
and they're lap dogs.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't matter how big they are.
Even I have an English bulldog named Mikey. He thinks he's a lap dog too. And he's probably, I'd say 60, 70 pounds, something like that. But no, and he's not a good jumper because he's basically a potato with little stubby feet.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
so I have to help him into my lap. But my dogs are great, and if they want to be lap dogs, I just say so be it.
yes. This is the way. All big dogs should be lap dogs. If they don't know that they're low, that they can be a lap dog, then you have failed.
Yeah.
That is a failure on your part. We shall let the dogs be lap dogs. So, all right. What were we talking about before we got on to animals?
Um, I have one more little animal story actually.
Do
So
tell.
my wife is a phlebotomist at a pediatrician's office, and they had this big fish tank. And anyway, I don't know the species of the fish, but he's about like here. Try to get into the camera. He's about this big, and he's orange and white, and he's got a big hump on the back of his head, and he's got huge teeth. Like you can see them when he does his gulpy thing, his breathing thing. But anyway,
Hmm.
he's mean as hell, and he killed all the other fish in the tank at that doctor's office. And then there was a woman that was taking care of the tank and cleaning the tank. Well, he took a chunk out of her. Not a
No.
koi, no, not a koi. But anyway, the doctor's office the didn't want the fish anymore. And one thing that me and my wife seem to do is take in unwanted animals. So we brought him home and put him in this big 50-gallon tank we have.
Mm-hmm.
And I started reading about, the type of fish he is, and they're not stupid. They're actually a pretty smart fish. Well, anyway, I started going to his tank and opening the lid on the top and just like talking to him in a sweet voice. And he will come up to the surface of the water and put his face out of the water and we'll just look at each other. And he seems to really like that. And then we had this statue of a mermaid in his tank. And my wife took it out because she thought that it was taking up too much room in the tank. Well, he went through a state of depression afterwards. He stopped eating as much, he stopped playing as much and swimming as much. And I said to my wife, I said, that mermaid was his girlfriend. You got to put that mermaid back in
Oh
the
my
tank.
gosh.
And we put the mermaid back in there and he livened right back up. Started eating a bunch again. He loves his little mermaid. Yeah,
Was it a black mermaid?
it was not. It was not. It's I've
Now,
seen I've seen the memes, man. I don't even know what to say about that. It's
was
an
it a was it a ginger mermaid?
it's a it's a I guess I don't know if it's plaster or what. It's just full white, but uh because mentioning the ginger thing, there seems to be an erasure of gingers
Oh,
in
now
pop
you're now
culture.
you're you're now you're speaking Arden's language.
Yeah, yeah, I know.
George is on that like well, red on ginger.
Right, yeah. And my wife is a ginger. My wife is basically she's like a vampire. Gingers are sort of like vampires. She
They
can't
are.
get sun very much. She will just turn into a tomato.
You know, on a semi-related note, I'm as you know, I was another channel that had another name,
Mm-hmm.
and we are very open about, say, the carnal side of things. And I'll be perfectly honest. I like learning about how men and women interact,
Mm-hmm.
and I have not met a female ginger, who was open about her particular proclivities and inclinations. And all gingers, nearly all of them, are freaky. I mean, like, let me take that back. Let me broaden the scope here. Every woman I've spoken with openly about like sexuality and whatnot,
Mm-hmm.
proud submissives.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just thinking to myself, why is this not more common knowledge? We have the girl boss. No wonder women aren't happy anymore. They're nerfing their own orgasm. It's
Mm-hmm.
really sad
Yeah.
when you but especially among gingers. Gingers are far more vocal about their kind of about what gets them off more than other women per se. But yeah, it's as Sasquatch says, we've had ginger sisters marry ginger brothers. They have 17 ginger kids. Yep, that's about on par. So it's Sasquatch says my baby mama, daughter, and girlfriend are gingers. And then I know you're a happy man.
Funny
Enough
story.
said.
Funny story. The other day, I messaged my wife and I said, "We need to do a 68 soon." And she said, "What's a 68?" And I said, "Well, it's like a 69, but we don't get into the position and I do nothing." And she was like, okay, this weekend. And I was like, fuck, that actually worked. You know?
I mean, I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Prime Knight says loud and proud about their bedroom fetishes. No, no, no. Not only are they loud and proud about it, almost across the board, it's nearly the same thing.
Hmm.
Proud sexual submissives. Like they want someone that they want to be manhandled. And they're proud of it. And all you have to say is rock on. Rock on. So, moving slightly away from the sexy, where can what projects do you have going on in the future?
Well, I'm definitely going to try to finish that book that I'm writing, and I'm going all out. You know, I'm going to do a ton of illustrations for it. A friend of mine is writing, who's a author, is writing a children's book, and I'm going to be illustrating that. Um,
Okay.
I I've got another commission for doing a book cover, so I'll get started on that soon. I'm really enthusiastic about the children's book
Hmm.
because a lot of my work is really serious, and I think this will give me the an opportunity just to kind of have fun with art, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking like really colorful marker and pen drawings will be something kids will like.
Okay.
And so yeah, I'm really looking forward to doing that. Um,
That reminds me. I have a book that is unfinished. Um, I don't know if I showed you the Alice in Wonderland remake.
yeah,
Did I?
no, you did. Yeah, you did. Yeah.
And it's I'll be honest. Whenever I showed someone a chapter of that book, they'd be like, "Okay, where's the rest of it?" And I'd be like, "It's not written yet." And that is something that I have to finish up because it wasn't bad. It was actually pretty good writing, if I can say so myself. If you have a different opinion, let me know.
No, I agree. And you know, before I started writing this book, uh, I'd always wanted to do kind of like two things in my life, accomplish two kind of bucket goals or whatever. And one was to record an album, um, and I did that, you know. And another was to write a book. But I always kind of doubted myself in terms of writing and thought maybe, you know, my writing wasn't good enough or whatever. But I'm trying not to think that way. I think that's a really bad way to think. And so I just kind of put my foot down one day and I said, well, fuck it. I'm going to write it anyway. And if it's good, it's good. If it's bad, it's bad. And we'll just leave it to the audience to decide. And so yeah, I started writing the book and shit, I forget my point, but um, I think it goes back to what I was saying about enthusiasm about your own work. For a long time, I you know, was kind of cruel to myself and definitely had imposter syndrome kind of thing. And I really started to notice that when I was down on my work, other people wouldn't react to it in the same positive manner as they would now that I'm like, hey man, I got some great stuff to show you. I'm working on this stuff. It's great, you know. You know, if you're enthusiastic, that enthusiastic will spread to your audience.
Yeah, and that's I can honestly say I've heard of this imposter syndrome. I've never actually been afflicted with it.
Yeah.
Like everything that I make, I almost intrinsically know this is mine. This is something
Mm-hmm.
that I made,
Mm-hmm.
and I am acutely aware of what my influences are.
Mm-hmm.
but that doesn't drag me down. Like I've never, because writing with doing a cover of Alice in Wonderland is fun.
Mm-hmm.
Like it is, you have a canon, and you have a canon that is intentionally loosey goosey, very cartoony,
Mm-hmm.
very, but it has its own sinister logic to it.
Mm-hmm.
Have you actually read the Alice in Wonderland books?
Yes, I've read both of them.
Yeah, my parents had me read them, and the first thing they told me was, "This is not as fun and light as Disney wants to tell you it is.
Oh
It,
man, none
it's
of those old books are.
it's Alice in Wonderland is some really some harsh stuff."
Yeah.
And when I took Alice in Wonderland and said, "I'm gonna make it an adolescent male instead of a little girl,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm gonna take him through the same journey that Alice is taken through, um, socially and metaphysically through the book." Oh, it's so much fun. Like, and it's weird because it kind of mapped onto the same thing Jordan Peterson did with like the 12 rules for life, order,
Mm-hmm.
chaos, that whole kind of nonsense, but adding the mystical, fantastical elements to it was just fun.
I guess
And
I have two comments about Alice in Wonderland. During that time period, there was a genre called nonsense writing, I think is what it was called. Correct me in the chat if I'm wrong. But when he wrote that, a lot of people said that it didn't fit into that genre because
no, it didn't.
like you said, there is a logic to it, a dark kind of surreal logic, but a logic nonetheless. Um,
And did you know how he got it in there?
no,
Um, oh, the writer was a mathematician.
huh?
And as a mathematician, he made sure that everything he wrote had a mathematical logic to it
Mm-hmm.
that would in the physical world create a chaotic wonderland.
Mm-hmm.
And so and there's a and when you look at it through that mathematician's lens, through that autistic lens, oh, it just opens up everything. And taking a young man through that process in what I tried to do was pretty fun. I should get back on that. That's
Mm-hmm.
something I need to finish because it was not only fun, it was worthy.
Mm-hmm. The artist syndrome thing, going back to that, it's actually really common. Our imposter syndrome with
Yeah.
artists is really common. And I think it comes from a place of looking at your heroes and thinking that your own work doesn't, is not as good or whatever. And then the term artist is so, hmm, it's kind of, how do you know when you're an artist, I guess? And what
Hmm.
is art? The question, what is art? When I was in grad school is something we went over and over again. And I think it's a stupid question, really. But and we even talked a lot about, because sculpture and digital painting was a new thing, then. Well, we were asked all the time by professors, well, is this really painting or is this really sculpture? And I thought that was a dumb question too, because it's not. It's digital painting and digital sculpture. But is it an art form? Absolutely. It's just a new medium. And every time a new medium comes out, there's this kind of shade thrown at it, hatred thrown at it. Um, and I don't know if have seen about like Mid Journey and stuff like that.
I'm actually on the Mid Journey Discord
Yeah.
because it's an opportunity for someone who makes. I'm not an artist. I'm
Mm-hmm.
a writer. Like I write gaming systems. I'm writing uh, Alice in Wonderland adaptations. I am a writer. So if you're telling me that there's an AI that if I put a string of words in, it'll give me a somewhat accurate picture of that thing I'm describing, you have my attention, bitch. Like I'm. This is something that people like me need to use to promote the intellectual side of things rather than the visual stimulation.
It's really I have a lot of mixed feelings about it.
I would
And
understand why.
yeah, and it's already taken business away from me. I had a writer friend tell me they were going to commission me to do illustrations to a book they were writing, but now they've been messing around with Midjourney and they're just going to do it all on Midjourney.
Yep.
So it's already affected me in that way. There's
We
there's
have we,
obvious
we have a comment from chat that an art contest was won by AI generated art.
Oh my
Crying
god.
ensued.
Yes, I saw that. Me and an artist friend of mine were talking about that, and I think the guy even lied by omission. When he put his work in the contest, he put it under the category of digital work. Well, a judge is gonna when they see the category digital work, they're gonna think digital painting. So you're actually doing the painting. You're just doing it on you know on a program. I think that is a lie by omission. He should have said that it was AI generated. Um,
Hmm.
uh, I guess the idea, like with someone like me that is just uses a pencil and a piece of paper, is will I become obsolete? And I've been thinking about this a lot, and I think the only thing for me to do as an artist is to somehow uh, figure out a way to use things like Midjourney as a tool in my own creative process.
Okay.
So instead of being left behind, I actually just embrace the new medium and use it to my own advantage. I think that's really the only thing I can do.
Well, and to be honest, you sort of have an advantage because not only are you an artist in visual art, but you're also a linguist. So for you to play around with and understand and acclimate to what an AI understands linguistically when you type in
Hmm.
a string, you're going to have a far easier time of that than someone who has no such uh, study. You would be able to, I think, mold in very quickly. And to be honest, using the AI to generate a backdrop and then drawing in your characters or your let's just say other non-backdrop things,
Hmm.
your vehicles, your personal characters, your antagonists. That would be extremely it would make your job easier. It
Yeah.
would make your it would increase the quality of something that would take you much longer because you would have to worry about things like the background when it's just background. I'm not trying to diss it, and
Hmm.
and it would make in my mind it might make the journey of adding those cute little extras
Hmm.
easier.
Yeah.
It might not be as in sync as it normally would be, but it would be easier.
One thing that I've thought how I could use it as a tool is acquiring reference photos for drawings is always like one of the difficult things, to do.
Hmm.
Um, and so instead of actually going out and taking these photos or finding photos online and worrying about copyright issues, I can actually use the AI to generate my reference photos and then use those as my references for my drawings. So that might be, yeah, that might actually help me.
Yeah.
Um, And oh, man, another thing that's kind of disheartening is how good the images look that are being created by Midjourney. Uh, they actually look. You can actually do some really great work with it. And a part of me feels like it's cheating, but a part of me feels like that's just a response coming from the defensiveness of my own medium, and that I shouldn't think that way, because the same thing was said about digital sculpture and digital painting, that, oh, is it cheating? And I don't
Hmm.
really and I don't really think there is any cheating. There's no rules, you know. Um I
Well,
think
and that's kind of the scary part, because when it comes to art, when it comes to production, the labor is in the human mind. So it is ultimately the mind that produces the art. And the question is, if we're making AI that can generate art, how much of that is a mind rather than a program? That's where things get to are a little scary for me.
mhm.
Um, we also have Prime Night saying that AI art have a hard time to do different art styles. I can understand that. If
Mhm.
But also, Arden Party says references is something that all artists struggle with. One of my friends does theatrical makeup as a special effect and absolutely love it. Loves it when I send her images either of my scars or recent wounds. Okay, that's actually legit. And that's going to be that's going to be a trip when AI starts being able to um, 3D print prosthetics or scar tissue when you have a theatrical presentations. That's going to be a trip.
As a musician too, me and one of my friends who's a musician as well, a songwriter, who is a just is as good as I am at guitar, he's 20 times better. But anyway, we were talking about Midjourney and the problems that I'll face with it, and we started talking about the fact that the next thing is AI generated music. Well, we didn't know that had actually already happened, and this guy had made an AI to look at contemporary rap music, and from looking at contemporary rap music, make original rap songs. And the funny thing is, the AI was canceled by the woke for saying the N word.
Really?
Yeah.
That's actually that is a topic that a good friend of mine has brought. Charlie and Mads.
Yes. Yeah.
I was actually informed that you two talk a lot, and
Hmm.
Charlie's has found an AI algorithm, and she's and we've had discussion about how AI, if left to its own devices, scans the internet, becomes incredibly racist.
Well, yeah, and it's really not the fault of the. I mean, well, it can't be the fault of the AI
No,
because. But
it's
anyway, it was just looking at contemporary lyrics to rap music, and I guess that it saw the like how many times they were
yeah,
saying the N word, which is a billion times.
yeah,
And so it thought, well, I've got to put this in the song. And so
yep,
it did. And I don't really see, I think it acted as a mirror
yeah,
to people that are rappers and stuff like that. And they didn't like what they saw.
and
And
that's yeah, it's exactly that. It is a mirror. What's funny though is I was testing out the Midjourney art application, and I typed in the name of a magic card, Chainer
mm-hmm,
Dementia Summoner.
mm-hmm,
And to my surprise, the AI wasn't capable of searching the internet and finding the Dementia Summoner card,
hmm.
which I was a little intrigued by this. I'm like, well, how if the AI is able to word search, able to cross reference, able to generate images, that nothing close to this image came up. and actually one of they the owner of that server complained to me saying, "Oh, this group is a collective mushroom trip. Please no demon summoning on our server." And I'm thinking to myself,
Mm.
"Oh, you you pussy!
Mm-hmm.
Like, what are you doing that you don't?" I was testing to see what your applet what this AI can do,
Mm-hmm.
and they were going off about the consciousness of the AI and the demon summoning and the collective mushroom trip. And I'm thinking to myself, this is that if you don't let the AI absorb all of that information, is it going to give you um, an accurate result? Is it going to give you something close to what you want? And
Right.
I was very unimpressed by its inability to generate that image.
Mm-hmm.
So it's
I have in general been very impressed with its ability. Like, I was just fooling around with it, and I said raccoon Mo Digliani style. And Mo Digliani is not the most, known artist in the world. And
uh,
and it actually made these raccoon paintings that you would think, oh yeah, I could see these being a Mo Digliani. Yeah. So I mean, I've been very impressed with it so far, and I think that it's only going to get better. Which I
you
don't know
know,
if it's good for me or bad for me.
I'll be honest. I think that might be a hindrance
Mm,
because the artists making the AI are more concerned with art style rather than the content of the image that the inquirer wants generated. Does
mm,
that make sense?
yeah.
Like, for example, Chainer Dementia Summoner. It would have been easy. It would have been, especially if it's the exact name of the card, it would have been easy to pull. It would have
Mm,
been easy to auto generate, to copy paste, to be able to um, create something new out of that. I think that there's too much um, data storage being spent on the idea of creating the art in a certain style rather than pulling uh, the reference images properly.
mm-hmm.
So I think that there is a place where they might want to consider improving the art rather than providing alternate styles of the art, if that
Right.
makes sense.
I mean, I'm
And
surprised they couldn't do it.
we have Yiz in chat. Say hello to our good friend Yiz the eunuch.
Hey, it's been forever since I've seen you around or talked to you. You're still kicking.
Yeah, Yiz is still very much on very much live, very much in the loop and doing her white well-being
Mm,
um, circuit, and it's good seeing her content pop up. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, I'm gonna do a little shill for her. She has a mountain retreat, a camping adventure that she's planned with all of her friends, and if you can make it, I encourage everyone to go. Go ahead and spend a couple of dollary dues if you must, and go ahead and participate in that because I'm not. Of course, Discordant Dragons on Mondays. Mondays belong to the Dragons, as Jason Kuna does advertise. Mondays are for the Dragons. You have Yiz's Discordant Dragons, as well as the Dragon Synth on Monday, right after Discordant Dragons. So, oh no, you're not an interruption. You're not an interruption. You're a feature that on this channel, as well as everything else that you and Jason are doing. So there we go.
well, man, I hate to run, but I've got to help my mom. Um, yeah. But we have talked for an hour and 30 minutes. I think that's a pretty good, length of time. And I've absolutely enjoyed talking to you, and I'd love to come back and talk some more about this kind of stuff if you ever want me to.
Absolutely. And if you have any more ideas for the game, and if you want to make a character, you just reach out and we'll throw you right in.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah, if you've seen our streams, we actually have a system where people can throw cards at us.
Okay.
So it gets pretty fun. So that's it, everyone. It's been wonderful talking with Cassander, one of the people who helped develop the Shades of Dominion in its early development. We bid you all good day and go throw some shade. Have a good one, guys.